This is a video about Ujjayi breathing. What is Ujjayi breathing? So you might have heard your yoga teacher talk about Ujjayi or Ujjayi breath. Sometimes it's called ocean breath, sometimes people refer to it as warrior breath, and sometimes it's used a lot in like dynamic flow yoga, Ashtanga vinyasa style. What is it and why is it good for us and why do we do it? So a short video here today. I'm just going to talk you through the technique, especially if you're a beginner, and also just talk a little bit about the benefits. So before you start any breath practice, it's really good just to have a little check-in. So you can come and sit comfortably. You don't have to sit with your legs crossed. You can sit leaning back on a chair. You can just somewhere upright. Yeah, breath practice is giving space for the lungs, so that you're not kind of slumped over like that. So however you're sitting, just check that your shoulders are above your hips. And then maybe just relax for a moment around the face, around the eyes, and just notice how your breathing is now. So are you breathing through the nose? Is it deep or shallow? And always have a little check-in before you do any breath practice, because changing the breath can be really powerful. And maybe start to slow the breath down. And relax around the shoulders and the neck and the jaw. So Ujjayi breath essentially slows the breath down. And when you slow your breathing down, you can regulate your nervous system. And when you regulate your nervous system, you can be in that state, parasympathetic state, which is kind of where we're supposed to be all the time. But when we're stressed, when we're anxious, we get into that sympathetic arousal where we're in that kind of doing mode and we're like fight or flight, or we're like worrying about stuff. When we're in that state, the body's using energy differently, getting ready to, fight or flee. And that's not very good for us to stay in that state for a long time. We release a lot of cortisol that the body then has trouble kind of, sorting out for us. So when we slow the breath down, we regulate the nervous system, we get more into what we call the parasympathetic state. And this is the rest and digest, or tend and befriend. This is the state where your body is relaxed enough for your white blood cells, for all the fluid systems, your immune system to work really well. Yeah? So if you are constantly kind of in that high state of stress, that will affect your immune system, because it will affect the white blood cell count in your body, and it will affect the way that your body is always trying to keep you healthy. So Ujjayi breath, if you just imagine for a moment like you're misting up glass, so like that kind of like where the throat just closes up a little bit, the bottom of the throat kind of lifts up like that, yeah? That's why we sometimes call it ocean breath, like if you listen to a seashell, sometimes that noise. Don't worry about making a noise. Some people will make a loud noise, some people won't. That's not really much of a focus. Do that again a couple of times. Now see if you can do exactly the same thing with your throat, but with your mouth closed. And then see if you can do it when you inhale. So I sometimes think it sounds a bit like Darth Vader, that breathing in a mask. It's a practice. If you don't get it straight away, don't worry. We'll have another go. So breathing in. And breathing out. And you can feel that slight narrowing of the throat. So we'll do a couple of minutes. And if you kind of lose it and then you get back into it, that's why we call it a practice. Yeah? So don't worry if you don't get it right first time. So you can allow your back again to relax your shoulders. You can have your eyes resting or closed. Sometimes it's easier to concentrate if you kind of take the eyes down or close the eyes. It's really up to you. Allow yourself to be comfortable. You start breathing in through the nose, and then allow that little closing of the throat as you exhale. Continue if you can. You might notice as you continue this practice, sometimes again it's called ocean breath. If you get into an even rhythm of inhale and exhale, you might notice that sound. Again, everyone's different. For some it's like a really subtle sound. Stay with it for a couple of minutes. Again, don't worry if you kind of lose it, just get back in. And what you may notice is your breath getting a bit slower. Stay with it if it's comfortable. As always, if it's uncomfortable, just let it go. So keep going if you like. In the beginning, when we practice Ujjayi breath, sometimes we can just do it on an exhale, and you can come back to that idea of misting up glass. Yeah, or sometimes it's that whispering. It's like just that sort of quieter sound. Even just 2 minutes of Ujjayi breathing, I find really, really helpful. I'm asthmatic and I have anxiety. Just 2 minutes of Ujjayi breathing just slows my heart rate down. And if I do about 5 minutes, which, you know, if you can build up to, if you find it comfortable, it's almost like a meditative state. Yeah. So there have been studies on Ujjayi breathing. My teacher, Heather Mason, and Bernardi did a study about, I think, 6-7 years ago on the benefits of Ujjayi breathing. Really, really good, again, for regulating the nervous system and also just helping your awareness come within your body, which has the benefits of mindfulness because you're concentrating on what you're doing, which stops you worrying about other things. So I've got a few other videos on breath practices, also breathing for anxiety as well, and regulating your breath practice. So have another go with the Ujjayi. Maybe set yourself an alarm so you can just get into it, and maybe see if you can practice it for about 2 or 5 minutes a day. Thanks for watching.